This is Goku Sun DBZ, and this is a new episode of Best to Worst. Of course, as always, I go from, in my opinion, the weakest to the strongest of a specific series, whether it be video games, movies, music, doesn't matter. So, with that said, in all forms of entertainment, this week or rather this time, been a while since I've done one of these, but this time I will be kinda, in my opinion, the best to worst of the Devil May Cry series. So with that said, also announcement for next best to worst list I'm working on right now. I'm going to be ranking, in my opinion, my personal favorites, where it be their designs, their gameplay though will play the major, which I had the most fun with playing. But next best to worst list will be best to worst Mortal Kombat X characters, or Mortal Kombat XL, whatever you want to say. So with that said, first up, in my opinion, the weakest of the Devil May Cry franchise. And of course, total there are 6 games in the series. Coming at number 6 though of, in my opinion, the weakest of the series, and of course that being Devil May Cry 2. Though I will say, in my opinion, design-wise, Devil May Cry 2 has the best design of Dante, in my opinion, in the whole franchise. I love his, design overall. Now, personally, I don't hate this game, in all honesty. I really don't hate it. Not like a lot of people out there. But to each their own. Everyone has their own taste and cup of tea. But still, I think it's the weakest by far in the series. For me, on my rating scale, of course, that I use now, grades, I'd probably honestly give Devil May Cry 2 a D+. So it doesn't get an F, D+. But I still like it for certain elements, like Dante's design and everything. Gameplay-wise, it's still pretty solid overall, in my opinion. Coming in at number 5 is the game that started the entire franchise, the original Devil May Cry. In my opinion, is the fifth best game in the series. I'm sure some people would have it higher, but to my opinion, even though the gameplay is good, still, I don't think it's that great overall. It plays pretty much, obviously, just like DMC or Devil May Cry 2. There's not really any difference in gameplay. That was one of the things people attacked Devil May Cry 2 on, was it was no evolution in the gameplay mechanic aspect. Though still, it's a solid, great game. I mean, if I was to rate this, I would probably give the original Devil May Cry probably a flat C. So just an average overall score. So we go from a D+ to a C. Next we have, now this game, I'll say quickly, I'd probably give this game a C+ overall. Coming in at 4th place is Devil May Cry 4. Funny enough, this is the only one of the franchise I actually own on Xbox, while all the others I own on Sony platforms. Which is kind of interesting, though I do have a digital copy of this on PS4. The complete or whatever special edition, which eventually I will probably record gameplay of in a game playthrough. Let me know if anyone out there would like me to do recordings of gameplays through any of the Devil May Cry 1 through 4 games, since I've so far done the reboot and 5. But overall, yeah, I give Devil May Cry 4 a C+ overall grade. It's a good game, don't get me wrong. I didn't care too much for Nero in his first introduction game in the series. Funny enough, the voice actor who voices Nero is also the one who does the voice of Dante in DMC, the reboot. Just a little fun fact. But I will say, I do like some of the elements in this game, but still, I think there's a lot of things that keep it from being even better, though it is certainly stronger than 1 and 2. But still, it doesn't come close to the others. I think in the mechanics area, this game is solid overall, but I actually had more fun on the combat mechanics in the reboot game over Devil May Cry 4. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I'm sure some people have this game higher on their lists than mine, but as the old saying goes, to each their own. Or insist upon yourself. Whatever phrase you want to use. But yeah, in my opinion, it's the 4th in the list. Coming in at number 3 in the series. My 3rd favorite of the 6 games is the reboot, DMC Devil May Cry, which of course I have music playing in the background from. I don't hate this game like most people, but to be fair, I never played this game when it first got released. Back when it was 30 frames per second and everything on the PS2 and, well, PS3 and the 360 and the 7th console generation. I only tried it for the first time with the 8th console generation with the Definitive Edition, which has all the extra DLC and everything on disc, which is good, because I'm all about physical for the most part, especially with DLC. I'd prefer it to be on disc rather than only DLC, downloadable content, strictly digital. Because when servers are offline, that's it. You'll no longer be able to access that stuff. That's the perk to going physical. But with that said, yeah, this is my 3rd favorite in the series. I don't get why it has so much hate, honestly. I think it's just some mindless fanboys, in my opinion. Heck, I'm somebody who likes and have now finally played all the games in the series, but for me, my 3rd favorite. I think the mechanics of the game, the combat system, is really good. I like some of the creature designs, honestly. Some of the bosses, especially the one boss that kind of reminds you of, like, Bill O'Reilly. It's kind of funny, and I get a kick out of it. I mean, no one had to tell me it was based on O'Reilly. It was kind of obvious just from the style, the presentation, character, and being a news anchor and stuff, just the way he told story. Yeah, you could tell. But I love it for its uniqueness, and I have to thank Ninja Theory for the job they did on this game. For me, on a grading scale, I give DMC Devil May Cry a flat B. Yeah, it gets a B on my rating scale. I really enjoyed it. I can't say more than that. Next, coming in at 2nd place. I'm sure no one is not surprised by Devil May Cry 3. And yeah, you see this one shiny, that's because this is actually a factory sealed copy of Devil May Cry 3. Also have a factory sealed copy of 2. I still need to get a factory sealed copy of the original. Then I'll have the full set. But yeah, most people consider this to be the best game in the franchise. I won't argue, it's definitely a solid game overall. It's a really good, really fun game, and it definitely improved greatly on the combat mechanics from 1 and 2. Plus, of course, I don't think anyone can argue the epic fight, of course, involving Virgil in the game is a lot of fun. For me, on my rating scale, I would have to give Devil May Cry 3 probably a minus. Still really good rating, an A minus, but there's just one or two things here and there. I don't think it's completely flawless, but to be fair, no game really is flawless. At least not that I can think of. Even like my all-time favorite game, Final Fantasy VIII, I'll admit has flaws here and there. Even my number 1 favorite game of all time. But with that said, coming in at number 1, I guess no surprise now, my number 1 favorite in the franchise, Devil May Cry 5. I just had a blast playing this game. I even went back recently and started replaying some of the missions again. I love the character V. I love the way he plays. So refreshing and so different from any other characters in the Devil May Cry franchise, in my opinion, overall. It's just really refreshing. And also, the game looks just drop dead gorgeous. And I actually really like Nero in this game, unlike in Devil May Cry 4. In Devil May Cry 5, I actually really got into him, and I love the ability to be able to change out, like, arms, though my personal bias, love, and of course you saw, if you watch any of my game playthrough of the game, I love the fact that I can use the Mega Man Arm Buster weapon from the original Mega Man games. That is pretty sweet. Not to mention, when you start a mission, if you have that arm equipped, he even comes down like he would in a Mega Man game. That's pretty awesome. And if he dies, if Nero dies in the game, he goes into like little energy bubbles or whatever, just like in the Mega Man game, which is pretty cool. I love those whole, like, feels and stuff, like the just elements that old school Capcom fans would really appreciate. And I do, as a big fan of Mega Man games, more specifically Mega Man X, but regardless, to me, this is the the best of the Devil May Cry franchise as a whole. I think it's reached a new peak. I think the gameplay in this game is just so stupid, so dumb, but so much fun. And sometimes that's what you just want in a good, like, action type hack and slash game, such as DMC series or Bayonetta. It's just a lot of dumb fun. And you should be allowed to occasionally just play a game that's just nothing but mindless fun and action. It really does. There's just something therapeutic about it, I guess you could say. But on a rating, what do I give Devil May Cry 5 on my grading scale? I give it an A+. So, with that said, as we stated, the lowest one on the scales is a D+, and this one is an A+. But to me, that is the best to worst of the 6 Devil May Cry games, in my opinion. Whether it be, of course, as I stated already. But leave a comment below, tell me, what, in your opinion, is the worst game in the series and the best game in the series? I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. Also, as I said, let me know, give a comment if you'd like me to ever do in the future a playthrough of any of the original Devil May Cry trilogy and or Devil May Cry 4. I'll be more than glad to do a playthrough. Of course, once I'm done doing some playthroughs I'm currently working on, like Fable the Lost Chapters, as well as I'm working on more material from Mortal Kombat 11, and some other stuff, which I'll give more updates on in a future vlog. And I hope you enjoyed the music in the background from DMC Devil May Cry. See you next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.